is part of Spider-Man suffering and letting the people close to you die, or do you have the power to change that?
Being Spider-Man is a sacrifice. Like, that's all it can ever be. Because how do you even attempt to match that legend? And that is what makes Miles so relatable. It isn't the fact that his life sucks. It's the fact that he's chasing greatness. In the universe, they've shown there's a ton of Peter Parkers, a ton of Gwen Stacy's. And across the Spider-Verse, are we going to see another Miles Morales?
This could be a really iconic Spider-Man story.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Invincibles podcast. You know me, I'm Zan,
I'm Oli.
and
We
are
the Invincibles.
Boom, there we go, guys. Yep. Today we're going to be talking about Across the Spider-Verse. Very, very excited for this movie. And in true Spider-Verse fashion, we got podcast Spidey over here, and then we have stunt double Spidey over here. Times are tough. Times are tough. I can't afford a, lens right now. The rest of my suit got ripped up, but it's okay. It's all good. So we're going to make it work, guys. We're going to make it happen. So let's just jump into it, man. Across the Spider-Verse comes out in June. You saw the trailer, bro. What was the first thing that came to your mind? What got your Ollie senses tingling?
It's like it's a completely sort of new way to approach a Spider-Man story. Like looking at is part of Spider-Man suffering and letting the people close to you die, or do you have the power to change that? And that's such an interesting angle to take. And like first another thing, the animation style, but the animation just looks absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
Like they've somehow stepped up again from the first one. And Miguel O'Hara, he looks like he's probably the main antagonist of the film. And that's just gotta be incredible. No, go on.
And we got to do the point.
Oh yeah.
No, I was saying, do you think Miguel O'Hara is the antagonist and the villain, or do you think he's the antagonist to Miles, but the spotlight will still be on literally the spot? Because I was really happy with this trailer that we didn't really know a lot of what's happening. It's a lot of deep themes that the movie will explore, but in terms of what it's actually happening, very little, which we need more of that in cinema now, like not to get off like on a tangent here, but I'm very tired of trailers and movies being determined good based on if theories and cameos isn't the goddamn project, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that we have a trailer that's like its own original story that you can't really speculate on and that just incites you or invites you more to see the movie. We need more of that, like not to crap on another movie, but Blue Beetle did everything I don't like and movies nowadays, like you got the cameos in there, you got the Lil Uzi Vert, commercial, song in there instead of actually, I don't know, using your own soundtrack. But that's neither here or there. I'm just saying, like, Into the Spider-Verse was very fresh and changed the game, and Across the Spider-Verse seems to kind of go in that same direction, and especially the animation. I mean, The Last Wish, and then the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that's coming out. Spider-Man once again, changing the culture, bro. Like, I love it. I'm very, very, very excited about this.
I'm gonna have to take this mask off because I wore this suit for my birthday party a few weeks ago and I haven't washed it since, so it still smells of sweat and Guinness. So
hey, bro, Spidey doesn't drink, man. What are you doing, man? Spidey doesn't drink. Bro.
Oh, I'm letting them down, aren't I? I'm letting the Spider-Verse down.
And Miguel O'Hara is about to come in and beat you up. And speaking like on an unrelated note, bro, they shouted out Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Yes, when Miguel said
they did.
The little nerd and Doctor Strange on Earth 99999 or 19999. First of all, real quickly, a lot of the people who are getting mad, actually it's supposed to be Earth 616. What is this? Like, bro, like go outside, work out. You know what I'm saying? Like, put down the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, get on the treadmill a bit. Like, not trying to be toxic here, but come on, like, there's bigger things to worry about than if they got one fucking detail wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes nerds are annoying as hell. And it's ironic because look at me. And I'm just saying, that's just such a minuscule thing to complain about, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's just so annoying. But I think that's cool, and we might see them in Beyond the Spider-Verse, Toby, Andrew, and Tom. But I don't know if we will see Tom acknowledge the Spider-Verse in the MCU Spider-Man movies, if that makes sense. Much like in comics, you'll have Spider-Man show up in a Hawkeye issue, but that doesn't necessarily mean he'll talk about it in Amazing Spider-Man run. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. Yeah, I'm very excited, but once again, the forefront should be on Miles because he is my favorite Spider-Man. And I really love what they did with them into the Spider-Verse and across the Spider-Verse, and just being like not to be that guy, but I have like so much Spider-Man comics here in this drawer. I will say that Miles has benefited a lot from better comic books, especially in the last 10 years than Peter Parker stories have. Um, which kind of segues into what you were originally talking about, man, and I'd really love your input here. You said that a lot of this trailer, and I agree, talked about the deeper themes of Spider-Man, what it means to be Spider-Man, how I think it was Peter B. Parker who said this, or Miguel O'Hara, or maybe another character, but one of them said to Miles off screen that being Spider-Man is a sacrifice. Like that's all it can ever be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you look at it from our perspective, it's like, well, that's kind of dour, isn't it? Isn't that kind of like Batman?
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose it is. Um,
And
Historically, that is what it has been in all the Spider-Man stories, and yeah, it just feels so fresh, like this idea. Um, and I'm excited to see where they go with it. I really am.
do you think so let's talk about that. Where do you think it will go? Like, what do
Oh,
you think? How do you think the spot plays into this? Miguel O'Hara, Miles's character arc, family is a huge part of this trailer. What do you
um,
think's gonna happen?
I'm not sure how the spot will play into it because I've this is like my first sort of exposure to the spot as a character, so I'm not really too sure. But I think he'll be like I don't yeah he I don't think he'll be in it a lot really. I think he'll be sort of the main villain of like the first part of the film when Miles is sort of before he gets into all the multiversal shenanigans. But are you familiar with the spot from the comics? Like, what's
No.
besides having portals? Like, what does he do?
No, the only thing I'm familiar about with the spot was in the 90s Spider-Man animated cartoon series. He was in a couple
Oh,
episodes of that.
yeah,
Um, I know he has been in the comics, but I mean, I'm not very familiar with them, which
mm,
I'm so happy about that because I'm
mhm,
so
yeah,
tired of going into movies with preconceived theories and fan theories and this like expectation of the movie should already be predictable and we already go into the film. So the fact that they've picked a new villain that a lot of people don't know about, that I don't
yeah.
even know about, like
I hadn't heard of him before they announced it.
I think that's brilliant writing. I think that's a
Mhm.
brilliant creative decision. Like shout out to them, man. Like but no, I don't. Yeah, I'm very unfamiliar with the spot, but I guess it kind of tie. If I had to wager, I definitely think it ties into the Kingpin's little machine thing that from Into the Spider-Verse. I think maybe he got hit by some rays or something and has the ability to open portals into other universes. Maybe
Oh, okay, okay.
that I don't know. Like that's just something I'm throwing out there. It's interesting though because at the end of Into the Spider-Verse, Miguel O'Hara shows up because of everything that happened and Brooklyn and went back in time and whatever. And then you had the funny point meme and Easter egg, which is, such good cinema. Um,
Mm.
but I think Miguel O'Hara kind of being the leader of like the Spider universe. Uh, I'll just throw this out there. I have a hard time watching this movie and not thinking Moreland isn't going to be a part of it.
Okay.
When you look at interdimensional Spider-Man stories, Moreland is typically on the forefront of those.
Mhm.
And if you look at brand synergy, right, like Sony with the Madam Web movie, Ezekiel is going to be a big part of that Madam Web movie. Ezekiel is directly tied to Moreland, to those who don't know who Moreland is. So essentially, in the John Romita Jr. run, where he illustrated for J. Michael Straczynski in the early 2000s, it's one of the best Spider-Man runs ever. Not to get off topic, but I would argue to those who are unfamiliar with the Spider-Man character and really want to know what he's all about, read the original Stan Lee run. So Great. And this ties into why I think Moreland is going to be in Across the Spider-Verse. It all connects. Um, but if you want to know more about the character of Spider-Man, read the original Stan Lee run. Okay, tells you everything about him. Um, then you can really delve deeper. So after that, after he's in high school, he's in college. This is where a lot of Spider-Man 2 got its inspiration from Spider-Man, No More and He Quit and everything like that. So you have that. Um, that's a good one. If you want to know more about the character, so in the original run, he's a teenager trying to figure out his way. And the second run, right, with John Romita Sr. and Stan Lee writing that because they had a terrible relationship, Steve Ditko and Stan Lee, which we could talk about a lot, but they did not like each other. But they did create the character we all love, know and love. So shout out to them. Also, great professionalism, great workplace professionalism. um, but if you want to know more as well, you can get this Roger Stern omnibus. This is where Black Cat and a lot of the organized crime story arcs come into play, and really kind of shows you who Peter Parker is. Like, I feel like a lot of the movies forget that Peter is a dude whose life sucks not because fate is just cruel, but because he chooses to go into the battle every single day because he hates injustice. So there's an element of anger to the character, right? That's why he talks a lot of shit. That's why he clips. There's an element of he hates injustice, so he has anger. I feel like a lot of the movies have missed that. The only exceptions, Spider-Man 3 and No Way Home. I think those movies get that on. No, I'm lying. Spider-Man, right? He gave Green
Yeah.
Goblin the work. He gave Green Goblin the work, but read the omnibus, right? And then the fourth thing I would strongly recommend you reading, which ties into Moreland, is the J. Michael Straczynski run with illustrated by John Romita Jr., who's John Romita Sr.'s son, if you couldn't already figure that out. And and in that run, Peter Parker, he's living in New York City. He's a science teacher. He teaches at a public school, an underfunded public school. There's issues of school shootings happening there, and he stops that. 9/11, that issue happened under J. Michael Straczynski's run. But a big defining point in that run, because every major run in the Spider-Man mythos has a character that hasn't been there before. And before it was Doc Ock, then it was Green Goblin, then it was Kingpin, then it was Craven, then it was Venom. J. Michael Straczynski introduced Moreland. Okay.
Yeah.
So Moreland to those, and that's just that's just more if you want to know more about the character and you don't know where to start, you only know video games and the movies, read those stuff. Okay. And we can send you the list and everything. So good stuff. Great comic book stuff on here. So if you want, so Moreland essentially, Peter Parker, there was an understanding that the spider that bit Peter Parker, it was a complete freak accident, right? It absorbed radioactivity, it bit him, it should have killed him, it should have maybe even mutated him. Instead, it gave him spider powers. And with that, did the wrong thing, and Uncle Ben got killed. So a lot of his origin is a story about rising up to unforeseeable events in your life, right? Like that's the metaphor, right? J. Michael Straczynski kind of toyed with that a bit, and he was like, well, what if it wasn't? So in this run, pretty much there's like these spider totems, right? And Madam Web is connected, but pretty much it states that every universe has a Spider-Man. And the spider that bites you isn't necessarily scientific, but it's more like fate.
Okay.
Like it's mystical. So that is the run that changed Spider-Man's um origins from scientific to spooky in a way, to animalistic to mystical, so to speak. And but how he answers it isn't really definitive. Peter and the audience kind of interprets that for himself, like in the panel while he's fighting Moreland, and I'll get to who Moreland is real quick. He says maybe it was the radiation, maybe it was the predestined, but no matter what, I'm still the guy here in your face, refusing to let you kill other people. So Peter comes to it, he's like, I don't really care if I was predestined. I'm still here. I'm still Spider-Man, and you're still gonna get this work, which shows his character, which I appreciate. So Moreland, he is this interdimensional vampire who travels universe, killing spider people. That's what he likes to do, and he crosses over with Peter Parker, finds this Peter Parker. He's going to kill him, but this Peter Parker, he realizes, okay, well, the other spiders that bit the other spider people across the universe, while they might have been mystical, this spider bit me, through science. Like it's radioactivity. That's what makes Peter a bit different from the other spider people. His was radioactivity, at least in the 616 continuity, right?
Mhm.
The spider that bit him, like an Ultimate Spider-Man, and the Tim Maguire movies, right? It was genetically altered. The venom transformed him. In the 616 universe, it was a freak accident. It wasn't supposed to happen. The radioactivity changed him, if that makes sense, if you're following along.
Mhm.
So he said maybe there was a mystical spider in this world that should have bit me, and maybe it got squished. So maybe this
Oh.
radioactive spider was a freak accident anyway. So essentially, he flips it on Moreland. He was like, "How do you know I was the person you're supposed to eat? Because
Oh.
I have radioactivity. The others don't." So what Peter did is he uh, injected himself with a bunch of plutonium, and I'm like butchering it a bit, but he injected himself with a lot of radioactivity. So when Moreland absorbed his life force, he started getting sick and started dying. And he
Wow.
and then Peter got cured of that extra radioactivity, and he still had his spider powers. So while Moreland is like wheezing, and he's like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" Spider-Man's like, "Ha ha ha ha," and then he beats the shit out of Moreland.
Wow.
So yeah, so bro, like I said, J. Michael Straczynski's Spider-Man run is so good. Read it all the way up to issue 500. It ends on Peter Parker's happy birthday moment where he gets to say goodbye to Uncle Ben one last time due to Doctor Strange. And don't read anything after that, because then you have one more day where May Day and the marriage of Mary Jane is sacrificed, and which also ties into Across the Spider-Verse, because in this storytelling, Peter and MJ are married and they have a daughter, which in the comics they got rid of, and that's a horrible decision because Marvel editorial, for some reason, believes that we don't want to see Peter Parker grow as a character after 40 effing years. But that's a whole other topic. But that's who Moreland is.
Okay.
Interdimensional Spider, and that's the story that he's in. If you're interested, read more about it. J. Michael Straczynski, free
So
advertising.
so reading up to issue 500, starting where?
I start from like the number one, amazing
Oh,
fantasy.
the number one. Oh,
Yeah,
right from the, okay, all right.
yeah. The character progression from this all the way to J. Michael Straczynski from
Yeah.
1964 to early 2000s. It is so good.
Mm.
Everything after that is trash. To
Apart from
give
Superior Spider-Man.
superior, okay, and you know that's a good point. That's a good point, because I'm not saying that there aren't great issues and great story arcs in the modern era. That'd be disingenuous. You have Renew Your Vows, you know what I mean? You have Superior Spider-Man. Even have the Miles comics, which I said earlier, they've been whooping Peter's stories for 10 years now. That's facts, but nobody reads them, but it's facts. But I think it's all about where you want the character to go.
Yeah.
It makes no sense for Mark Grayson, right, Invincible, to have more of a character progression in 3 issues than Peter Parker has in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And shout out Invincible. I love Invincible. It's my favorite story comic book. Like, bro, we got to do an
Me
episode
too.
on that.
Yeah, we'll be doing lots of that near season 2.
But and that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense for Peter to not have that character progression,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I really love Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, because they show that. And Into the Spider-Verse, he's kind of down in his luck,
Mm-hmm.
and he truly was kind of ready to give his life up to stop the universe. And now he's a dad and he has a daughter. Everything that Marvel editorial hates and thinks will dissuade the audience is ironically giving more views for the movie. Like,
Mm.
you morons, people want to see Peter grow.
Do you think that in a way Spider-Man comics have been hindered by the success of Spider-Man as a character? Because like with Invincible, he when the comics ended, he was very, very popular in comics, but he wasn't as popular as Spider-Man. And they had a clear start and end of the story. But with Spider-Man, just carries on and carries on. They don't want to give an end to a story because they won't be able to make as much money out of it. They just want to keep the comics coming and coming. But do you think if like the original Spider-Man run had like a definitive ending, then they'd done these stories in maybe a different iteration of the character, do you think that would have been better?
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, well, one, commercialized, right? Like
Yeah.
Spider-Man is so big, you can't really end his story. You could maybe do a limited series or do like a one-off movie, like maybe like Logan.
Mm-hmm.
But like Wolverine will never truly be retired. Spider-Man will never be retired. He's kind of, like you said, doomed by his own success.
Mm-hmm.
That does not mean, however, you can't be creative with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest issue. Kind of like with WrestleMania, the ending, right? It was not creative. I think a lot of the issues here, it's just not creative. Like, for example, if you have a Peter Parker who's always struggled with his rent, and that is the same character trope for 20 years, at some point you're not, relatable. At some point you're just a loser. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
and that's what they've done, with all due respect to the current writers, but that's what's kind of been happening in this current Zeb Wells run. He literally, bro, Peter Parker went from taking on the Sinister Six and beating Doc Ock, fighting Venom and Carnage at once and winning, coming out of the grave and getting beating up Vermin and Kraven's Last Hunt, fighting Daredevil and Death of Jean DeWolf, to calling Norman Osborn. And I'm sorry, there is no way that Peter Parker, that Spider-Man, would ever freaking work with the Green Goblin. It will never, never, ever, ever happen. I don't care if the Sin Eater was revived and erased the sins of Norman Osborn. First of all, that's a stupid-ass arc in a Spider-Man story. This is a street-level character. Why the hell are we going Doctor Strange up in this shit? It doesn't make any sense. That's number one. And number two, yes, let's say you did get all the sins away. And currently, if you confuse what I'm talking about right now, I'm talking about the current run of Spider-Man right now. That's what I'm talking about, because Nick Spencer actually had a commentary. The previous writer of Amazing Spider-Man had a commentary. He literally had a panel, and I'm going to have it on the screen and a TikTok or whatever, where he said, this has been happening over and over and over. Like Peter's talking to himself. He's like, this has been happening to me over and over and over. Villains keep coming back. I can't get my life together. My relationship with Mary Jane is ruined. Aunt May is in danger. Villains come back. My relationship is in danger. Mary Jane, blah, blah. And he feels like he's an inept individual. And that's such a meta commentary for him being an inept character. So how does Spider-Man go from Gwen Stacy getting her neck by Green Goblin to now working at Oscorp? Having a stupid spider glider? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Calling Norman Osborn on the phone, saying, I'm going to die from Vulture? Vulture is an old man. How are you going to get two-pieced up by Vulture, bro? How? You're Spider-Man. How are you losing to Vulture, bro? How? Oh my God, Norman, he's going to kill me. I'm going to die. Do you hear me? I'm going to die. You're Spider-Man. You've been doing this since you were 15 years old and you still can't figure it out. That's what I'm saying. At some point, you're not relatable anymore. You just become a loser. And that's what they have made Spider-Man in the comics. He's a freaking loser. I don't read Amazing Spider-Man comics right now, bro. I don't. He's an inept loser.
In the small part of your face, I can see through the hole in the mask. I can see how angry you are.
Bro, because it's like because Spider-Man is a dude. When he was 15 years old, he lifted a whole freaking building off of him. If it be my destiny to prevent the death of Aunt May, and now he's calling Norman Osborn, the guy who freaking murdered his first love, for help. How is that character progression? I'm not talking about subverting fan expectations. I'm not saying they can't work together. Like, it would make sense if Peter and Norman worked together against a villain that's way more dangerous and evil than both of them. And for example, I think that's Kingpin. You know what I mean? Like to me, hot take, I just don't like the overindulgence of the Osborns and Spider-Man. Like, that was great. It was done. Let's move on for that. Let's go back to organized crime. Like, Spider-Man is a crime street level hero. Let's have him go up against the mob. Like, that's when Spider-Man is really cooking, which needs to happen in Spider-Man 4, but that's a whole other thing. But no, I mean, it would make sense. Like, imagine if Kingpin realizes weapons don't make much finances anymore, so let me get into the superhero business. He gets his hands. Like, imagine if Kingpin got his hands on the Carnage symbiote or something. You know what I'm saying? Not the Venom symbiote, but the Carnage symbiote. You know what I mean? Maybe, like Peter promised Vanessa, I won't make, you get locked away in jail or something, and I won't let Vanessa, get exposed. But then somehow, some way, Vanessa does get exposed. So then Kingpin is on one. He's super pissed. So maybe he gets his hands on the Carnage symbiote, and maybe he's like, you know what? I want to run this town, so Oscorp's got to go. Because Fisk Enterprises and Oscorp have a lot of business dealings. Maybe he wants to get in on that, and he's like, no, you got to go. So then you have Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, and Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Both of their roles are getting attacked. We have to take out the Kingpin, because now maybe he's running for mayor. Maybe he's running for president. We can't have that, so he has to go. So in that instance, it makes sense. Green Goblin and Spider-Man going up against a Carnage level symbiote who is controlled by Kingpin? Hell yeah. Give me that. That makes sense. But how does a dude who's always, in stories, he's so smart, he's such a brilliant scientist, How can he still not find financial avenues to pay his fucking rent? You're telling me he could figure out how to make web cartridges out of trash bags, but he can't figure out how to make a side hustle to pay his rent? And he's been doing this since he was 15, 16 years old, and he still can't figure it out? Again, like you said, because he is so famous and so successful, and you want to trade on familiarity to keep bringing in that audience, you destroy his character progression. So once again, at some point, instead of being relatable, you just become a loser. Because you still can't figure it out. You're so smart and you still can't figure it out. And the writers, they still can't figure it out. They say like it's ridiculous, bro. Like how does a dude who his girlfriend was murdered by Green Goblin?
Yeah.
Not only does he want to work for him now, he's calling that motherfucker and he's like, oh my God, he's gonna kill me. Norman, help me out. He's gonna kill me.
He has his phone number saved.
How? How does that make any sense? And listen, bro. I know what people are gonna say. Oh, well, the Sin Eater, he actually absorbed all of Norman's sins, so he's good now. And you can't, bro.
That makes no sense.
First of all, that's a stupid ass arc. Yeah, this is Spider-Man, not Doctor Strange Man. This is Spider-Man. That's number one. And then number two, even if that was the case, Peter Parker would still not want to affiliate himself with him.
Mm-hmm.
He would be like, it's on site if I see you, but if it isn't, then fuck off. Like, that would be the energy Peter Parker's on, because he still murdered his girlfriend. How can you, as Marvel Comics, how can you say the death of Gwen Stacy is such a huge monumental event if you don't even show it the respect that it deserves in the character progression of the characters decades later? You don't honor that event when you just destroy and throw it away. And I don't even think Gwen Stacy is that great of a character.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Jane is his true love. I'm not even a Gwen Stacy fan, bro. But she was murdered in cold blood because Peter wasn't prepared to handle the situation. That's the part of the story. You throw that away when you have Peter Parker work with the motherfucker that killed his girl. That doesn't make any sense. Peter Parker making a deal with Mephisto to save Aunt May doesn't make sense. Peter Parker is the dude who won't trust Kingpin, but he'll trust a freaking devil?
Yeah.
How does that make sense? And you sacrifice Mayday Parker, and then the editorial somehow, some way thinks that people don't want to see Peter grow. People don't want to see him develop. People don't want to see, we're just going to keep him as his character. And then across the Spider-Verse, they show Mayday Parker. The trailer blows up. All the Twitter reacts and everything. They talk more about that than they did about Miles.
Yeah, they did.
And it's Miles' movie. And they still don't see it. Bro, they like me, they must only have one eye, bro. They still can't see it, bro. Like, I don't get it, bro. I don't get it, man. Like, I agree with you. The only thing that they've done was Superior Spider-Man. Maybe that is iconic in this new era. Some of Dan Slott's, single issue runs, I forget the artist, but some of his single issue runs where it was just a one-off story every time.
Yeah.
Like a Good Luck, I think it was one-off issue. Where he, Peter Parker had the Chinese, fortune cookie, and it said, you're going to have a good day today. And it showed him helping people. And it was just a one-off issue. It was a feel-good issue. And he met John Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson's dad in that issue. Stuff like that is cool. Yeah, give me more of that. But Peter Parker is a street-level hero.
He is.
He should be growing.
The best bits about Spider-Man are the street-level stuff. Like the stuff with what was what was the name of the soul person guy? What they had some, was that the same guy who was Harry Osborn in that weird outfit?
Which one?
I think it was a recent one where he teamed up with Norman. What was he called?
Not Sin Eater. The dude with the skeleton looking.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Nick Spencer's run. I'm just having a brain fart right now.
It was towards the end of his run, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he had the centipedes and everything.
Yeah.
I forget.
Well, we'll put the name up on screen. It was Harry Osborn.
It was Harry Osborn.
Like dead Harry Osborn.
Yes.
What the like?
Because they're saying Peter had a lot of sin because he ignored people while he was Spider-Man, and that resulted in other people ruining their life.
Yeah, I was a fan.
And again, like, why is Marvel editorial hell bent on making Peter Parker's life like hellish? Like,
Mhm.
no matter what, something bad's gonna happen. Like, bro, at some point, I'm tapping out.
Yeah.
Like, bro, at some point, I'm saying, yo, New York, you're on your own, bro. Like, I've helped you guys out for so much time, and you guys still throwing shit my way. Like, no, you're on your own. See ya, J. Jonah Jameson. I'm just gonna deliver pizzas, and it's Spider-Man delivery fee. Give me $100 as a tip. That's what I'm doing for my career, bro. I am done being a hero because the point of a hero is to help people, but at some point, you gotta enjoy your life too.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker's life sucks. That is what I don't want to say his name, but that one Twitter account that was making that Ku Klux Klan Spider-Man movie, we all know who it is, right?
Oh.
That's the energy that he was on.
Yeah.
That was the energy that he was on, that Peter Parker's life always suffers. And again, if you read the Stan Lee issue, if you read the Roger Stern Omnibus, if you read Peter David's run, if you read the John Romita Jr. and the senior runs, if you read J. Michael Straczynski, that is not the case. Peter Parker finds happiness in the small victories, and that genuinely makes his day because he's a pure person. He is not the self-hating, nihilistic asshole
Yeah.
whose life always sucks. Like I said, this is Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, the Batman edition. Duh, 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 duh. Like, no. So that's just my rant, bro. So to kind of segue into the Across the Spider-Verse, I really like how they're commenting on how the other Spider people said Spider-Man is a sacrifice. You have to lose people. It sucks. And
Yeah.
Miles is like, yeah, no, you can do both. You can have fun. And I really hope they show that. And I really hope they're creative with it because I'm tired of this self-hating, nihilistic Zack
Mhm.
Snyder-esque version of Spider-Man, bro. I hate that. I hate that so much.
From the trailer, are we in agreement? Looks like it's his dad who's the one who might die. There's one shot in the trailer where he's diving to catch his dad, and it's only in there for like 2 seconds. Oh, that might be to make us think one way, then they're going to take us another way. But is it his dad might be in danger of death?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I truly think this movie is going to be super unpredictable because of the amount of work that they put in.
Yeah,
I think if his dad were to die, I mean, wouldn't that just be Uncle Aaron all over again?
yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be more interesting if his dad became the Spot,
Oh,
like kind of like a Joker situation, like Bruce Wayne or Batman stopping the Red Hood and his actions create
mm,
Joker.
yeah,
Miles trying to save his parents instead of getting them killed actually turns them into supervillains that just during the multiverse. Hence, Miguel O'Hara saying, "You have no idea what you're doing."
mm. Oh, I had an idea about Miguel O'Hara. So, do you think this whole spider, uh, what are we calling it? The whole the
The
place,
Spider Army
the
or the
spider army,
lobby.
the spider lobby.
Yeah.
Has he? Is that something that he's gone to the different multiverses and contacted all these Spider-Men since the first film? Is that what he's
Yes.
been doing in the time since? Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay. I was just curious about that because otherwise, why didn't we see that in the post-credit scene? But yeah, okay. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Spider Society. That's what I wrote down.
Spiders. Yeah. And like how Moreland might tie into it is because we have never had a story where you have the Spider Verse and you don't have Moreland.
Mhm.
Like that's all. Maybe the '90s animated cartoon because that was before that, but before Moreland in the comics. But Moreland, listen, man, Moreland is a rated R villain. I mean, in the comics, he literally plucked Peter's eye out and ate it.
Mhm.
So like, he at one point he killed Peter Parker, but the mystical, how they don't actually ever truly die. But he put in the work and he died.
Yeah.
Um, so Moreland, after Peter beat him the first time, Moreland came back around. He was like, that radiation crap isn't gonna work again. Because this is the only spider person that whooped his ass. So he was pretty mad about that. So he killed Peter, but Peter came back. Um,
Okay.
but I think Moreland could tie into this story, simply because that has been the pattern. When you have Spider-Verse, you have Moreland. And I think it's a nice way to kind of subvert the expectation.
Yeah.
Because Moreland has always been a Peter villain. Now having Moreland go up against Miles, that's fresh. like seeing Kingpin go up against Miles. That's fresh, but I don't think you need Moreland here. And if he wasn't in this movie, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, I think it'd be all right, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, look out for a Moreland cameo. Maybe he's in Beyond the Spider-Verse, but I would be pretty shocked if Moreland isn't in this saga at all. So that's something to look out for, guys. Moreland is probably going to be a factor here. But let me ask you a question, man. Like, how do you think Miguel O'Hara kind of fits into all of this in terms of the narrative?
Yeah, I do think he'll be sort of the main antagonist of the film. I'm so looking forward to seeing the part that we've seen him in, but I think both the trailers so far, where he's chasing Miles throughout the multiverse with that look on his face, like he just wants to kill him.
Yeah.
And with it's Oscar Isaac doing the voice acting, isn't it?
Yep.
His performance is, already know that's going to be exceptional. So that chase scene throughout the multiverse, I'm really looking forward to. But throughout, in terms of like his narrative through the whole film, I don't really know what to expect, and because of how good the first one was, and because of this idea they've presented so far for the second one, I'm happy. I'm happy to trust them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't really feel
that's a good point. Yeah.
apprehensive about it. I feel quite at ease about it. So, which is, different to creative decisions in other things we've been talking about recently.
So I hate Vince McMahon.
Yeah, fuck Vince McMahon. Yeah, we won't get distracted by that. But yeah, so I'm trusting them to do something, interesting with it. And I haven't really got much exposure to Miguel O'Hara apart from Spider-Man: Edge of Time, which incredible video game, absolutely incredible video game. So in that, Peter sort of coaches him through a few things as well, and then he teaches Peter a few things. So I've never seen him in this type of role where he's like a proper leader before. So I don't really know what to expect, but I'm trusting that they're gonna deliver.
So, bro, like Miguel O'Hara is one of the coolest Spider people ever. You know what I mean? So to those who don't know, Spider-Man 2099, in the year 2099, Miguel O'Hara was a geneticist who worked for Alchemix, right? It's that universe's or that timeline's Oscorp, okay? And pretty much Miguel O'Hara, he wants to recreate the genetic genome that created the 2000 Spider-Man, right? Peter Parker. And while he's doing that, he realizes there's a lot of illegal illicit activity happening in Alchemix. Specifically, there's a genetic drug that attaches literally to your DNA sequence, and it gets you really high for the much. And he when he discovers a lot of their illegal activities, the higher ups, they give him that drug, so his DNA is laced, and they're like, well, now you can never leave. You get high and you work for us, but if you try to leave, that drug is in your system, you're gonna get arrested. You get what I'm saying? So then Miguel O'Hara is like, screw it. Now's the time to see if that Spider-Man genetic genome will work. His thinking is, I'm going to erase my genome and replace it with the spider to try to see if that'll give me the powers of Peter Parker. And also as a way to get back at them, because Miguel O'Hara is way more Batman-esque than Peter Parker was. Miguel O'Hara is willing to kill people. Miguel O'Hara is willing to torture. Miguel O'Hara is willing to intimidate. Like he does not mess around. And so I'll get to his powers in a bit. So he erases his genetic code and he gets a spider code, and it works, but it works a bit too well. So for example, his eyes are red. People were saying, oh, is he mind controlled? No, his eyes are always red because his eyes become super sensitive to light. So when he's indoors, or when he's outdoors or when he's around bright lights, he typically always wears sunglasses. And he never takes his eyes off because they're glowing red. And typically it's dark, when it's completely dark, he'll have them off. But his eyes are super sensitive to light. But because of that, he can see completely in the dark, and he can zoom in and zoom out like an eagle and stuff like that. And so his vision is super sharp. His hearing is super sharp, like think Daredevil. Like it's like that. he doesn't have adhesive abilities. He has claws coming out of his hands, like we saw, and he
Mhm.
literally just puts them into the wall, and that's how he climbs up and stuff like that. Um, he has web spinnerets, like bioelectric or bio like web, and so he can just go like that, and it shoots out of here.
Uh-huh.
Um, he can glide a bit, and that's
Mhm.
his suit. So his suit is actually made up the unstable molecules that the Fantastic Four use in their suit. So
Okay.
he used that. He created a Dio de los Muertos inspired Spider-Man suit. Um, and he moves faster than any other spider person. He is, I would argue, the fastest spider person per speed, per web swinging, reaction time, but he has no spider sense.
Okay.
So because he has no spider sense, all of his other senses are dialed to 11. And to quote this guy, and yeah, he's that dude, and he's willing to kill people. But the most important power, I would argue, is he has fangs, which we
Mm.
also saw in the trailer, that are full of venom. So he will bite you in the neck, inject you with venom like Dracula, and you're paralyzed, and there ain't nothing you can do. And so he's very much he Peter puts the man in Spider-Man, Miguel O'Hara puts the spider in Spider-Man.
Okay.
That's the dichotomy. So I'm really interested in Across the Spider-Verse because they're going all in on that.
Mhm.
Now, in the comics, he didn't have a kid, not that I'm aware of. He didn't have a family. He was a bachelor. They showed, when he's going like, no puedo, no puedo, like, and he sees like Miguel had a kid. Maybe he lost his kid and that took him down the route of Spider-Man, which, again, like a message of you'll have to lose somebody to be Spider-Man, which ties into why I really love Into the Spider-Verse because it breaks that. To be Spider-Man, you just have to believe in yourself and you need people who love you. Like the when his dad talked to Miles, right? When Miles' dad talked to him and Miles was all webbed up in his room and his dad thought he just didn't want to talk to him. His dad could have just been the toxic dad and been like, okay, well, screw you. I don't want to talk to you either. Instead,
Yeah.
he was like, you have this spark in you, like you have creativity, you have so much joy in the universe, you have so much exuberant energy, and whatever you do with it, like I'm always gonna love you. And that's all Miles needed. He didn't need somebody to die. He needed somebody to believe in him. He needed positivity. That's what I'm saying. Peter Parker, philosophically is kind of like a pessimistic character, right? Because the character argues you have to have something negative happen to you for you to do great things. And Into the Spider-Verse breaks that. Into the Spider-Verse says anybody can wear the mask and you don't need negativity. You just need people who believe in you. That's all you need.
Mhm.
And it's a positive message about life too. And Miles breaks that toxic trope of spider people, which I think will kind of be explored more in Across the Spider-Verse. I think the fact that Miles doesn't need to suffer that much as the other spider people and he's still better than a lot of them, I think that probably pisses a lot of Spider-Man off. It's kind of
Mhm.
like Roy Keane doesn't stop bitching and moaning about the new players. He's like, well, in my day, this was this in my day. Yeah, well, it isn't your day, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it isn't
Yeah.
your day. So
It's like Bret Hart as well talking about all these people slapping the legs when they're doing super kicks.
yeah,
It's changed. The game's changed.
yeah. So
Yeah.
imagine if you're like, bro, imagine if you're Spider-Man, right? So Ollie Johnson, you're Spider-Man, you had a tough life growing up. You tried your best to do it, just had a tough life. Then your spider protege is faster, stronger, smarter, more popular, and has a less tougher time. And they're more athletically gifted. And they don't suffer as much as you do, and they're more successful.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you kind of be like, what the hell?
I'd be jealous.
Maybe that's a character arc they go with.
Mhm.
Because Miles says Spider-Man can do both. And the other people are like, no, 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 but you don't know. You haven't tried it.
Yeah.
Miles has. So there's a lot of deep commentary on the Spider-Man discourse that this movie, I think, is alluding to that I'm so, so happy about.
It's also a wider commentary on like people who have suffered a lot, people who have been through trauma. They don't let themselves be happy because they're just scared they'll get hurt again and again and again. So they cut themselves off from being happy, and that seems to be what every single Spider-Man, what's happening to every single Spider-Man in this universe now, which is quite an emotional aspect about it, an emotional way to go with it. But I'm all for that.
And I agree, man. And I think it's brilliant. Like I had chills in this on the trailer. I think it was kind of brilliantly surmised how Miles is gonna break that toxic cycle when
Mhm.
he says, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing."
Yeah.
This is the character of Miles Morales, man. Miles Morales is such a brilliant character, bro. Like Brian Michael Bendis was in his bag when he created his character. And shout out Cleveland, Ohio. Me and Brian were both from Cleveland, Ohio. So shout out Cleveland, Ohio. You know, Brian Michael Bendis is from here. So shout out, thank you, sir, for creating my favorite Spider-Man. But that's what I love. The concept that Miles into the Spider-Verse, Peter Parker is the legend. So to give a sports analogy, right? He is the Ronaldo. He is the Messi. He is the Michael Jordan. He is the Kobe Bryant, right?
Yeah.
He's already been there, done that. Revisiting his story is boring at this point. What's more interesting is how do you even attempt to match that legend? And that is what makes Miles so relatable. It isn't the fact that his life sucks. It's the fact that he's chasing greatness. With great power comes great responsibility. For Miles Morales doesn't mean people's life sucks. He has to help them. With great power comes great responsibility to Miles means you have a responsibility to uplift everybody around you and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's inherently more positive. That's what the character is all about. You know what I mean? And great power comes great responsibility can be interpreted in so many different ways. I mean, Otto interpreted it in a rather dark way at the end of Spider-Man PS4, but Miles, he could break that toxic cycle. Like, so how do you even hope to meet that legend, especially when the Spider-Man of his universe said, "Promise me you'll do this," and Miles says, "I promise," and then he can't do it, and he's like struggling, and he needs his dad to say, "I love you, I believe in you," and that's such a deep theme. Like, imagine, not to go deep here, imagine how much more people's mental health and their family lives and their interactions with people would be affected positively if the people that they looked at growing up to protect them, to love them, if they uplifted them instead of saying, "Well, this won't work or that won't work. What if this happens? What if that happens?" Imagine how much more people could contribute to the world if they had a pat and a hug on the back from their parents. And we're like, "We believe you. We don't know your path. We can't walk your path, but we want to watch it."
Mm-hmm.
That's the character of Miles Morales. That's what makes him tick. And that's what the movies have got brilliantly. That's what the game got brilliantly. And that's what the Brian Michael Bendis run got brilliantly. I would argue there is no bad Miles comics. I think there's a lot of forgettable ones, but it's forgettable but brilliant. So
Mm-hmm.
there's forgettable and then there's brilliant.
Yeah.
There isn't really a bad Miles run.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think like that's the brilliance of Miles and Into the Spider-Verse is Peter is the legend. How do you even hope to meet that? You meet that by just taking a leap of faith. You won't always succeed, but bro, if you're going to do anything in life, you're going to fall. You have to go for it. I mean, bro, even our podcast, we've been talking about it. It's been in drafts for months, and now we're going for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're making great strides doing it too. Like, let's give ourselves on the pat on the back, bro.
4,000 views on TikTok.
Right. Exactly what I'm saying. And that is Miles Morales' journey. You don't know what's going to happen, but it's a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be successful in this life and you want to be happy in this life, you need people who believe that too. You need people who are willing to support you to take that leap of faith. You can't have people who are scared of the, unknown all the time. That's just going to hold you back.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I love about Miles Morales because he's always about breaking that toxic cycle. He's always about pushing forward as a character. He's always about how do I help the people around me and how do I be my own self-thinker. For example, the norm, the convention, what you know, and across the Spider-Verse as a spider person is you need to sacrifice somebody. Miles is saying, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna prove to you don't always have to do that." And it's scary. You don't know what's going to happen. He might fail. He might succeed. There might be some unforeseen consequences. Who knows? But the point is he's willing to go for it. That is what makes legends to go for it.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this character.
This really has the potential to be like an absolutely iconic Spider-Man story. Like not just in film, but in the whole everything, comics, games, films, everything. This could be a really iconic Spider-Man story.
I I hope to God. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse already is.
Yeah, true,
You know,
absolutely.
and you know what also makes this iconic? The freaking art.
Mm. Can
Like,
see it behind me.
yeah, bro.
It's
I mean,
all around me.
bro, like that's, imagine if this was just like a, I'm not dissing them, but imagine if it was just like Pixar animation or just like a regular 2D animation. I
Wouldn't
hate
hit
that.
the same at all, would it?
It's the fact that it takes homages from the comics, bro. That's what makes it so brilliant. It's the fact that they know their audience, which again, I really hope Marvel editorial did too. But that's a whole other topic. But I think that, you know, they know their audience, and this changes the game because, like, that's why I love comic books. It's the art is nice to look at. This is nice to look at too, bro. And I love like the kind of like the chicken run type of animation speed, where it's not like like the frames per second is a bit slow. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's really good. I love the new suit, bro. That, I know a lot of people are hating on it. To me, it looks fresh. To me, it looks like if you're a basketball player, if you're a hooper, if you're an athletic person, this is how you would make a Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's fire. There is nothing that I can see about this movie that I'd like, oh my God, that's not gonna work. And then also
Mhm.
look at your panel. Look at your, background. You have, spectacular Spider-Man there.
Oh, I'll get out the way.
You have Spider-Man Unlimited there, right? You have Bagman. You have Renew Your Vows, Mary Jane. You have Spider-Man PS4. You know, you have all of the, you have I already said Bagman. You have Spider Carnage. You have Wolf Spider. But here's a question for you. In the universe, they've shown there's a ton of Peter Parkers, a ton of Gwen Stacy's. And across the Spider-Verse, are we going to see another Miles Morales?
Oh, I'd love to. One thing that I've been thinking about though, how much of stuff like that, how much reveals will they save for beyond the Spider Verse? Because there was meant to be a two-parter originally, wasn't it? It's meant to be
Yeah.
Across the Spider Verse Part 1 and 2.
Yep.
So I could maybe see that happening maybe at the end or maybe in a post-credit scene, and that be a big part of the next one.
Oh, I know
Because
what you're
they
gonna do.
were meant to be a two-parter. So yeah, go on. Tell me how you think it's going to end.
Across the Spider-Verse, the main villain's got to be Salim. If you
Okay.
don't know who Salim is, if the guys don't know who Salim is, Salim is an evil clone of Miles Morales. So there's a villain, um, in the Saladin Ahmed run of Miles Morales. The run does push the character forward. Like he has a new sister, Billy Morales. He has new relationships, and then he has new villains like the Assessor. He's an AI who literally captures Miles and does a lot of experiments on him and stuff like that. Hence, creating the clones from his DNA. But I think a lot of like the execution of the story arcs themselves, it's more like a lot of really good stuff. If it was on a beat sheet, but the actual implementation can be kind of forgettable. But it pushes the character forward, and there's some fun moments. And I really like how they made Miles a bit more serious character. So I will appreciate that. I really like this Latin with run, but I just kind of wish there's just something missing, is what I'm saying. There's something missing there. The pizzazz is missing, but that's just neither here or there. But in that run, Salim is a clone of Miles who looks exactly like him.
Mhm.
Okay, literally exactly like him, but he's British. So
All
like
right.
there's like a pun. There's a pun like where Peter helps Miles against Salim, and Peter's like, "So who are you? Like Kilometer Morales?" You know, and so that's how you know. Oh, he's British.
That's
Um,
brilliant.
yeah, so Salim, yeah, so he's a villain. He's willing to kill people, and he's a psychopathic, like dark villain. Like to give in the best way to put him, he's like Khan from Star Trek. Like
Okay.
you can't trust him. Okay, um, but that he was not the only clone made by Miles. So there's another clone, um, Spinneret, if I'm not mistaken, and he's like a blend between a spider and a man. So he's got like 8 arms, he's got like fangs, and he's no, he doesn't have fangs, excuse me. He has 8 eyes, and he has like these mind psionic powers that like overwhelm your spider sense and stuff like that. And then there's a third clone, I forget his name, but Miles ends up adopting him, and he's a part of the Morales family because he's a good guy. He's a really nice guy. He's like a Hagrid size, like Harry Potter. Like he's 8 foot tall. He has like a bit of cancerous like tumors on his neck and stuff, but he doesn't have cancer. It's he can shapeshift, so that's his thing. Oh, his name is Shift. His name is Shift.
Mhm.
Um, and so he becomes Miles's little brother, and he becomes a part of the Morales family. And his parents are like, "Oh my God, this is awesome! Like hell yeah!" Like typically in story arcs, you would see, oh my God, what is that freak? Instead, the parents are like, okay, welcome to the family. You want some pizza? And Shift is like, you guys accept me? And they're like, yeah, like, you want to play video games? Like that's what I loved about the run. Um, so yeah, but Salim, so Spinner, I forget the name. He ended up dying in the battle between Miles and Salim because they pretty much it was a Roman Reigns Jey Uso situation. Like literally, Salim was manipulating Shift and Spinner, and they didn't actually want to kill Miles. But Salim was like, he's the original. We have to take him out. How dare he, how dare he exist? And we're superior than him. Like Salim was a psychopath. So I think it would be interesting. And he's a multiversal villain because in the run, like in the Son of the Run, there's a universe where he kidnaps Peter Parker, drains him of his DNA. So Peter Parker's like 80 years old. Salim is immortal, and he's taken over the world under his spider empire. So he doesn't have a Spider-Man suit. He has like a spider armor that's kind of Roman Empire inspired.
Okay.
And he uses a spider logo to terrorize people. So when Miles and Shift join this universe, it's a multiversal story. And that's another thing. Miles needs to get away from the multiverse. After Beyond the Spider-Verse, bro, I don't want to see Miles in a multiversal story. Like we've been there, done that. But he's in this, and people are scared of Miles because they're like, you're Salim. And Miles is like, I'm not Salim. I hate Salim. He's here. I hate Salim, and Salim literally uses Miles's iconic black and red spider suit to torture people. So that's why in the comics, Miles gets a new hoodie suit.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I think it would be cool if, at first I thought it would be a cool theory if Miles is, another Miles Morales is Spot. But I think Spot is connected to his universe somehow, some way. But I think in Beyond the Spider-Verse, Salim or Moreland should be the main villain. I think that'd be really cool.
So do you see Beyond the Spider-Verse being the end of all the multiverse stuff then?
I hope so. I think so.
With that, do you see that being the end of this iteration of Miles, or do you want to see you want to see more of him after this, do you? Like this version?
That's a tough question. Would I sacrifice? If his story is wrapped up, I don't think we need to push it more. Okay. I know Shamik Moore. It would be cool if somehow, some way, this Miles Morales is in the MCU somehow through the contractual obligations of Sony and Marvel.
Okay.
So Shamik Moore's live action in the MCU, maybe. But
Okay.
I think that takes away from the character growth of Peter Parker, though. I've always said Spider-Man 4, Peter's low on rent. He needs to help out a family. The Morales family hires him to be a tutor for their son Miles.
Oh, yes, I like that. I
think that's just such an easy, organic way to do it, And you don't have to have Miles get bit by the spider anytime soon.
Yeah.
You don't have to at all. You could have it like a in WWE, Dominic Mysterio situation. He wasn't on the main event until he got his character development, right? Same thing here. Maybe Miles and Spider-Man, in the next trilogy of Tom Holland Spider-Man sagas, maybe he's bitten by Spider in Spider-Man 5, maybe Spider-Man 6, maybe an Avengers movie. Who knows? But I think it's important that we resonate with the character of Miles before he's bit by the spider. That way, when he is bit by the spider, there's this huge hell yeah moment.
Like the game did.
Yeah, like we were introduced to Miles before he was bit. Like that was awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, and then it was like right at the end. It wasn't the post credit scene. He showed Peter the powers. It was like right at the end of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you could like, there's so much you could do with that. Like you could literally have Miles have a different perspective and how Peter views life, right? So maybe Peter views himself as like, oh, he hates himself. Maybe the reason why the Morales family hires Peter to be their tutor because Miles is sick. So you combine the kid who collects Spider-Man with Miles Morales. So in the comic book, so those who aren't familiar, in the comic book, Peter visits a cancer hospital, but you don't know it's a cancer hospital until the end of the issue. He visits a cancer hospital and he visits a terminal fan who's going to die, and he reveals himself to be Peter Parker, and it's very hard. It's very hard to read because it's so good. It'll break your heart. What if they combine that here? Maybe Miles is terminal in the MCU. You know what I'm saying? He's he can't go to school. If you want to make it relevant to modern times, maybe he has COVID-19 because a lot of the black population was hit really hard and a lot of the American healthcare system screwed them over. So maybe, he's sick at home. You know what I mean? The Morales family just needs to hire somebody to help keep up with the school because a part of them, they don't want to just give up on him, so they're going to continue to put him through school or something like that. They hire Peter Parker, and Peter Parker finds like a similarity with Miles. Miles is fighting for his life. Peter Parker's trying to gain his life back. So, Peter, because of his relationship through Miles, Peter kind of grows and he becomes better for it. And you can have an age gap, right? Like Peter's maybe 18, 19. Miles can still be 11 or 12. You don't need to make him Spider-Man immediately. But that way you combine an iconic story while bringing in a new character that might be here. That way, when he is Spider-Man and he is the main Spider-Man and Peter is retired or killed or whatever, there's an element of Miles has earned it.
Yeah.
So that's how I would do that for the MCU. I wouldn't have Shamik Moore just live action in there. And especially in Spider-Man Homecoming. I mean, Donald Glover's character, right, Aaron Davis said, I have a nephew that lives in Queens. So he would probably be 2 or 3 years old. He'd be 2, 3 years old at the beginning of Homecoming, or by the time of Homecoming. So I think it's a way to be full circle. And if they were to put Scorpion in there too, it truly is full circle moment. Maybe Scorpion attacks the Morales family. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then maybe Peter has to give his blood to Miles. And then over the years, as Miles is going through puberty, his powers start to develop. So maybe he doesn't get his powers initially, but because of the blood that Peter gives him, maybe through an attack of Scorpion, you know what I'm saying? Through puberty, he starts to develop more and more organic powers, maybe bioelectricity. There's a lot you could do with that, but that's how I would do Miles in the MCU. I mean, there's just a lot of Spider-Man discourse that across the Spider-Verse that ties into Sony's involvement with the other Spider-Man projects that I'm very excited about. I just want to say this real quick to those fans of Spectacular Spider-Man who's anticipating, oh my God, Spectacular Spider-Man is back. Bro, he's going to be in the background. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would not expect a lot of cameos in this movie, even though it's across the Spider-Verse. But one thing I really hope that they do well, Spider-Man India. Spider-Man India, bro. Like that, if you guys look at, and not to be that person, but if you guys look at the original Spider-Man India costume, to me it's really lazy and kind of racist because it's stereotypical. You have a the my parents are gonna hate me because I don't know the name of the pants, but I wear them all the time. But like the Indian pants. It's just a Spider-Man shalwar. Oh, shalwar kameez. Yeah. So you have a Spider-Man shalwar kameez. So you have the Spider-Man suit, but it looks like one of those kurtas you would wear at a wedding, and then just the white pants.
Yeah.
To me, that's lazy. That's I wouldn't say it's racist because I think an Indian person wrote it. I'm pretty sure. So to me, it's lazy more than anything, and it's stupid as hell. Like you would not be wearing that if you're Spider-Man because you need tight clothing. If it's loose, you're going to get caught up in webs, and it's just bad. Like I just didn't really like it. It wasn't original. It wasn't inspiring. But this new Spider-Man India design, I mean, they're in Mumbatan, right? Like Mumbai and Manhattan. That's what it's called. It's Mumbatan. That Spider-Man India design looks fresh. It looks fresh. You have the red, you have the purple, you have the hair out. You know what I mean? You have the lenses. It's very Indian inspired. You have like the bangles. You know what I mean? Like you have a real Indian actor playing it. You have like the blue webs. Like it just looks like they took their time with if Spider-Man existed in South Asia, how would he look like? And red is a huge color in our cultures, Pakistani and Indian. I'm Pakistani for those who don't know, but red is a huge color. Like that is the color. Just like Spider-Man. So having red was iconic, but having blue in there instead of the black webs, but like blue, it's just like our culture when it comes to clothing is very vibrant, very colorful. So this costume pays homage to that. And the fact that you have the hair out, that is fresh. That's I love that.
Yeah.
So I really hope that's just one thing I really hope from Across the Spider-Verse. I really hope that Spider-Man India. I hope he's not called Spider-Man. I hope he's called something specific to his culture. You know what I mean? But if he was called Spider-Man, I wouldn't care that much. That's just me being, I hope that happens. And I'm really excited for Spider-Man India, bro. Like, even though I'm not Indian, I am South Asian and Pakistan came from India. So I'm very excited about that character. And That's who I'm going to dress up for Across the Spider-Verse is Spider-Man India. Yeah, 100%. I just need to grow out that hair. Maybe I can borrow, maybe I got some bad, Kratos hair happening right now, but we'll figure that out later, But
Yeah.
I will definitely cosplay as Spider-Man India. That'll be dope.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
And we haven't even talked about Daniel Kaluuya being Spider-Punk.
What?
Yeah,
Really? I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's
And
such a talented guy. Like he's. Have you heard of the TV show called Skins?
no.
It's like a British TV show. It's really sort of like the kids. It's about kids in college or sixth form over here, which is like 16 to 18, like taking drugs, doing all this stuff. Um, and I think he was about 16, 17 years old when he starred in it. He also wrote and I think maybe even directed some of the episodes at that age, and
Wow.
the some of the best episodes in the series. Um, so yeah, he's so talented. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah, no.
I'm
And
so happy to learn that.
the animation style, like when he's going with the guitar and the sound, the music, the acoustic notes, they like rip across the page and it's like a paper ripping through a newspaper. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it looks so fresh. It's a raving Spider-Woman, you know, it's cool.
Yes,
But I
yes.
think the one thing I hope Across the Spider-Verse doesn't do is kind of put Peter B. Parker in the backseat. Now, I still want him to be a major part of the story.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of like, Miles and Gwen dating because that's happened so much. But if they do it, I just hope it is heartwarming instead of predictable, you know?
I think the dynamic between Peter B. Parker and Miles is going to be really interesting because it seems like Peter B. Parker sort of um, knew that Miguel was going to present Miles with this sort of ultimatum.
Mm.
Because Miles is like, "Oh, you knew, you were in on it," and then maybe they fall out. That whole dynamic's going to be really interesting to explore because he saw him as like, an older brother and stuff like that. He was teaching him how to be Spider-Man, and if he turned on him, well, not turned on him, but sort of did something without telling him, that could hurt Miles.
Do you think I think it would be really cool if Peter visited the people that his Peter Parker, right? The blonde Peter Parker that
Oh yeah,
had. It'd be interesting if Miles visited his loved ones for support during this.
okay,
I don't want to forget that version of Spider-Man because that version of Spider-Man was the Spider-Man that made it.
yeah.
So it would be cool to like have Miles pull from the Spider-Man of his own universe rather than continuously going to the multiverse for that. That's just a me thing. Do you think that they're going to go with the character trope of Miles is trying to do the right thing and does something wrong? Or do you think they're gonna go with the trope of he's just in over his head, like he knows what he's trying to do is right, but he's just not capable of it yet? Like I just really hope
Um,
they don't go with the whole, oh my God, like I was not doing the right thing and ends up not. Like to me, that's predictable.
yeah, and that's something we've seen before as well. So I think I think they might lead us down that path, but then sort of do something different with it, and quite surprise us. That's why I think they probably might do,
Yeah.
um, which I'd quite like. Uh, I think I don't know with there being another film that's like kind of a second part to it. It's hard to predict where this one's gonna go. I think.
That's a good point.
Mm.
I think, well, if that, I mean, part one and part two, bro, then part one's gotta end like Infinity War part one.
Yeah,
I want,
it's got to be a cliffhanger.
it's gotta be something insane, bro. It's gotta be something insane. And, you know, here's a theory that I'll throw out. Um, I think, actually, no, scratch that. I don't have any theories, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have any theories, bro. I have no theories about this, bro. Like, I'm just very excited about this movie, and the fact that I have no theories just shows how close to the chest that they had this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
but if I had to bet my money, I don't think Rio or Jefferson will die in this movie. I think they're going to subvert that expectation. But I think the fact that they don't die is going to play heavily into whatever goes wrong in this movie.
So the
I
fact he keeps them alive causes problem like multiversal problems.
Potentially, but through ramifications, not directly, right? So I think the Spot is a villain of his universe. I
Okay.
think if they keep that focus as much as possible, Miles versus the Spot, and the other stuff playing into it, but the heart of it is Miles versus the Spot.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where they should focus it on because Miles is neighborhood Spider-Man now, right? He's in Brooklyn. That's where his priority should be. Um, so I think the fact that Miles, like, I could see maybe the other Spider people wanting to kill the Spot, and Miles can't because he's maybe another version of Aaron Davis. Maybe he's. What if they go Ray Skywalker up in this? Like, what if the Spot truly is an original character that Miles just feels sorry for and he refuses to let him die? Like, there's a lot that they can
Mm.
happen, but I think what will make this movie is not the crazy theories or the crazy cameos, but I think what will make this movie is the acting and the heart that it has. That's what made Into the Spider-Verse work, and I have no doubt Across the Spider-Verse is going to make that happen too.
I completely agree. Yeah. Fully trust them.
If you had to rate all the Spider-Man movies, including these ones,
Wow.
let's do it. Worst to best.
Okay. I think I've got my ranking in my head already. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bottom is Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
Um,
Trash.
then I still enjoy all of them. I enjoy most of parts of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Not most of it, probably about 20 minutes of it in total. Um, the next is Spider-Man 3. I think it's great. I still love it, but yeah, the others are just better. After that, I'd go with. This is where it gets tricky. After that, it's between Amazing Spider-Man 1 and Far From Home.
Okay.
I think even though I love Far From Home, it's got to be Far From Home there. Then then Amazing Spider-Man 1. See, I have a real soft spot for the first Amazing Spider-Man because that came out the same year I left primary school and started high school.
Okay.
So that was like a very pivotal moment in my life. And I got a skateboard for Christmas the year before, and then Spider-Man's riding the skateboard. I was like, oh, it's me.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's dope. Yeah.
So that was little 11-year-old me loved that. Um, after Amazing Spider-Man, probably then probably Spider-Man like 2002, like the first Tobey Maguire one. What have I got left? So I've got left. I've got Spider-Man 2, No Way Home, Spider-Man Homecoming, Into Spider-Verse. Okay. So after Spider-Man 2002, it goes Spider-Man Homecoming,
Okay.
then Spider-Man 2, into Spider-Verse, Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay. All right.
Spider-Man No Way
Okay.
Home is my favorite, not just my favorite Spider-Man film, it's my favorite film ever.
Okay. How before I get into my ranking, how would you address people who say that that movie is not going to age well in a few years, specifically because there were parts of that script where dialogue was purposefully
Good.
not used so that people could clap?
Well,
Um,
I'm looking right into the camera. Go yourself.
No, really, bro. That movie was a cinematic milestone. It was an event, bro. It was like a
Mhm,
WrestleMania. It was like a World Cup final, bro. And the fact that
mhm.
they pulled it off with no spoilers, well, strategic spoilers to help market the movie, like that was brilliantly done, bro.
Oh,
Like,
it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I've never. I thought when I watched Endgame, I thought that was sort of the peak of sort of a fandom cinematic experience. No Way Home just took it to another level completely.
yeah, I agree. No Way Home is way. I 100% agree. And we're
Mhm.
not just saying that just because we're Spider fans, but
Yeah,
literally the character progression of Tom Holland's movie is what drives that movie. So anybody who hates No Way Home, you're not a Spider-Man fan, bro. Like
mm.
I'm not saying you might not have severe criticism of it, but to sit there and truly not have any warmth in your heart when you see that movie, yeah, there's something wrong with you. Like so,
Yeah,
um, yeah,
and the fact that they pulled that off in the midst of a pandemic as well.
yes.
That's an incredible achievement.
bro. Like they could have made so much money that they could have bought Arsenal. If it wasn't COVID, bro, they could have Sony Pictures could have bought Arsenal. Like, uh,
if that film had come out a year or two either side of when it did, and it had been released in China as well, I think it could have been the highest grossing film of all time.
oh, I agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And it's not just Toby and Andrew, it's the Tom Holland. Tom Holland makes money. I'm
Yeah.
tired of these Twitter incel virgins who don't get any women, who hide their faces, on their profile picture, constantly complain about the MCU Spider-Man. Like I said, I don't think the MCU Spider-Man is perfect. I think there are some key areas that they need to rewrite. I think that this character needs to have lasting, consequences. I
Yeah.
don't like the rumors of Spider-Man 4 where Zendaya is going to come back and the memories will be back. Like to me, even I will kind of be on the MCU hate train then because I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing? But I mean, Tom Holland oozes the infectious joy of Peter Parker. The only thing he hasn't really shown up until No Way Home was the anger, and I think he showed that
Yeah.
really well in No Way Home.
Perfectly.
So, yeah, I think a lot of the hate for the MCU Spider-Man is I think a lot it's just easy to hate on Twitter. It's easy to hate from people who haven't done anything with their life, who aren't getting into the industry, and it's easy to just complain and bitch and moan. I think it's a lot of that. And also there, like I said, the racist Spider-Man organization, the person who has 3 letters in his name that we won't mention because I hate him, but the black suit is slowly coming in, bro. The black suit, like it doesn't, he was single-handedly responsible for so much of the toxic Spidey discourse and the fact that he's gone from the internet with "Bye bye Bozo, we do not miss you, please don't come back." Andrew fan film sucks. The fan film does not look good. Your fan film sucks. That's just a whole other thing. But no, if I had to rank the Spider-Man movies, number 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2. I am sick to death of people saying that Far From Home is worse than Amazing Spider-Man 2. Are you on drugs, bro?
No.
Like, Far From Home is a well-structured movie. It is a coherent, like it is a coherent movie. I won't say it's well written. I don't think it's bad written. I think it's a movie like if you were in film school and you just needed to submit a film assignment, you know what I'm saying? It would be Far From Home. It's not good. It's not bad. It's there. But it's a hell of a lot better than Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, and you have a great time watching it as well. It's a fun film.
Yeah, it's a fun film. It's fun. Like, it's not thought-provoking. You're not going to remember it, but it's fun. But you're going to remember Amazing Spider-Man 2 because it's dog shit. I think that because Andrew Garfield's CGI was better, which indeed it was, his suit was Mark Bagley inspired, which indeed it was, and the web swinging sequences were way more visceral, which indeed it was, that somehow that makes a better Spider-Man movie. You need a coherent plot for that too, buddy. Amazing Spider-Man 2 literally had none of that. It is the worst Spider-Man movie of all freaking time.
It's so disappointing as well, because after the first 10 minutes, when you watch it for the first time, you think, oh, this is going to be good. Then it just goes downhill.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, like if you want to talk about Tom Holland Spider-Man not being Spider-Man enough, they had Andrew Garfield throw quips on a truck while people are shooting at him or shooting at civilians. And Spider-Man doesn't take that seriously. He's just making jokes. Oh, don't call me late for dinner. That plot sucks. That quip doesn't even make sense. And that plot sucks. It's not good. Oh, I need the cure. I'm going to die. Oh, but I'm gonna die. Spider-Man, you're a fraud. That is engaging to you. The fact that they had Black Cat in the movie and made her a secretary, that's what's engaging to you. Because Felicity, I forget her last name, but
is it Jones? Is it?
Yeah. She was Felicia Hardy, but she was a freaking secretary. Like, that's engaging to you. Are you serious? The Oscorp parent conspiracy theory that they ended up, half-assedly answering in a tunnel secret subway, that's compelling to you? Like I said, the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie is it's a progression from being a boy to a man. You're not going to see a lot of the dark stuff in Far From Home. I agree with that. But Far From Home gave us a fantastic mysterious sequence, and Far From Home gave us a really fun sequence with the drones. You can't tell me that wasn't fun. And the inclusion of spider sense. Tell me you didn't have chills in the theater when Peter's just staring and he's like, "There's something here," and you're like, "Finally, they got
Oh
spider
yeah.
sense back," because he didn't have spider sense Homecoming. Not really. Now he has it, and it was fully developed in No Way Home. So again, Far From Home, very forgettable. I agree. It's a lot of missed opportunities, but missed opportunities doesn't mean bad. It just means it's missed. It's just average. But average is a hell of a lot better than Peter Parker not even being able to figure out how to make his own web shooters, electro-proof.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Iron Boy Jr.? He's Gwen Boy Jr. He couldn't do shit without Gwen Stacy. That's the real reason Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was crying, because he's like, now I'm not going to win against any villain ever. That's why he was crying. That's why he was crying. He's like, damn it. Now I can't do anything against a villain ever because my girlfriend helped me in literally every single thing. At least Tom Holland didn't have that help. He had help emotionally, but he beat Vulture on his own.
Yeah, he did.
He beat Mysterio on his own. He gave all the villains the work in No Way Home. Andrew Garfield couldn't beat a single villain on his own. And you have idiots on Twitter thinking that he's the best Spider-Man. He didn't win a single fight on his own. He was such an incompetent Spider-Man, he couldn't even find Uncle Ben's killer. But Andrew Garfield is good? No, I'm sorry, I'm going to say Andrew Garfield is the worst Spider-Man ever. I'm going to say he's a good actor. There's some good parts of his Spider-Man that you enjoy that they should definitely add in Spider-Man 4. But overall, as a character and as a film, he was at his best in No Way Home.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. Yeah.
He was trash in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 1, not bad. Like, yeah, you can watch it. But Amazing Spider-Man 2, oh no, he's the worst Spider-Man in that film. He's the worst Spider-Man. And I will go to death in that because Spider-Man, Tom Holland gave up his girlfriend and his identity to keep her safe. Andrew Garfield said, fuck Gwen Stacy's dad, I'm going to hang out with you anyway. And that's Spider-Man to you? He was willing to abandon New York City to go to freaking London for his girlfriend? That's Spider-Man to you? Y'all just hate Disney.
But he wants to be happy.
He wants to be happy, yeah, but Peter Parker also isn't super selfish either. There's a fine line. Like, there was so much bad ideological decisions in Amazing Spider-Man 2. The fact that Electro, that whole concept, that's not an engaging script. I'm sorry. He's like, you forgot about me. You, how could you do this? Oh my God, I'm going to kill you now. Like, what? And that is more engaging than Mysterio. Like, yeah, he was another Stark Tech employee, but it actually made sense. And the fact that while Vulture wasn't willing to murder Peter over weapons, Mysterio was willing to kill Peter over views. I love that. He's psycho. He's up there in the head. And you're gonna take Mr. Electro with bad teeth over that? Get out of here, bro. Amazing. Andrew Garfield's the worst Spider-Man ever. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Okay. That's number one. It's the worst Spider of all time. Okay. Then I will say Amazing Spider-Man. No, I'm just hating. Then I will say Far From Home.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say, and to give the visual, like let's say this is the list, you know what I'm saying? Below the screen, all the way by my feet, is Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then right here is Far From Home. So while it's still like, the second worst Spider-Man movie, I do agree with that because while it isn't a bad movie, it does miss the mark on a lot of Spider-Man themes. It's a hell of a lot better than Amazing Spider-Man 2. So that is like, if I was to stand up, this is the difference. So this is Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's all the way down here. And this is Far From Home. And this is still the bottom of my list. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just had to get that out of my system. Okay. Then it's Amazing Spider-Man 1. And I wouldn't say it's bad. I just think it's the movie could have used a lot of original flair. They could have used a James Cameron and no studio interference to really make that movie home. The concept of the lizard, turning New York into lizards again, like, oh my God, we've seen that, been there, done that, predictable, whatever. And then the parents' story arc, it's not engaging to me. I don't care about his parents. I want Spider-Man, Uncle Ben and man, that's what I care about. So, but it was good. It was all right. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't Toby and Tom. So that's currently you have Amazing Trash Man 2. Then uh you have Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then you have Spider-Man Far From Home. Okay. Then you have Amazing Spider-Man 1. All right. Now I will say that this is where things get controversial.
Okay.
I would say Spider-Man I would put next. I don't think
Really?
because I don't think the movie's bad. I just think the movies after it just did it better.
Okay.
Um, I still think it's a brilliant movie. But then I would have Spider-Man. Simply because I'm just not a big fan of Oscorp. I never was. I preferred the street level stuff. I preferred the other villains. So having Green Goblin, like I'm surprised No Way Home is so high up on my list because I just don't really like the Green Goblin as a villain that much. Um, but he is the most important Spider-Man villain. He needs to be there. He's just not my personal favorite.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I would put Spider-Man next. Then I would put Spider-Man 3. Um,
Okay.
I just love the sequences of the black suit and Sandman, but I think that's all they needed. Maybe Spider-Man 4 should have been Venom, but Spider-Man 3 should have been just black suit Peter and Sandman. And this is how I would rewrite Spider-Man 3. Maybe at the end, Peter's gonna kill Sandman. Sandman talks about, and they're at a church, and Sandman talks about what happened, and Peter realizes I'm going too far with this. I forgive you. I have to take this black suit off. He takes off, and then the post-credit scene or something, it goes to Eddie Brock and then Spider-Man 4, boom, Spider-Man versus.
Mm.
That's how I would do it. I think there was way too much going on, but I will say it made for a cool WrestleMania action set piece sequence when like Harry Osborn came in and saved the day. Like John Cena
Yeah,
comes
that
in
was
and saved
good.
the day in the last
That
fight. So I will
was
say
really
that.
good. Yeah.
And off a side note, but Raimi MJ is the worst love partner ever, love interest ever. She's trash. She's a cheater. She's emotionally manipulative. She's abusive. You know what I'm saying? And yes, Peter slapped her in the face, so maybe they're both abusive. Then maybe Toby's Spider-Man canceled, whatever. But regardless, MJ Raimi Spider-Man sucks. She is
Mhm.
trash. You're gonna have problems with your mates. You're gonna go hang out with his friend and make out with them. Like you're trash. You're for the streets. Somebody call Future. Somebody call Future. You're for the streets. You know. So yeah, like Spider-Man 3 is next. Okay. Then I would have Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
Um, I love Spider-Man Homecoming, especially that final half hour, bro. I don't need to. Nothing needs to be said. The only thing I would change is I just hate the inclusion of Tony Stark and the Spider-Man character. I hate that.
Mhm.
It I do agree with some of the haters when they say it's anti-Spider-Man. I kind of see that. I agree with that. Like when Andrew Garfield said Spider-Man would hate that billionaire, I agree with that. Like he would not. But it's a different iteration. Sony wanted, the MCU characters in this version of Spider-Man for money stuff. And I don't like to bitch and moan on the internet unless I'm already doing it right now. So it is what it is. You run with it. And like I said, that's such a creative final half hour, bro. Fighting on an airplane,
Yeah, that was good.
and I can relate to that because I'm Muslim. I
Am
should
I
say
am I allowed to laugh at
you're allowed to laugh
that?
at that. You're allowed to laugh at that. I couldn't help myself, but no, I just thought that was a creative final sequence, man, and Michael Keaton brought so much to the role.
Oh yeah,
I would say
that
that.
that scene when he's driving them to the homecoming dance,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
so
really
good.
good. Yeah.
It's so good. Okay, next, um, let's see. I have Spider-Man 2 left, No Way Home, and Into the Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is where things get crazy. Next, I'm going with No Way Home. Um, Here's why.
Okay.
I think No Way Home is I think it's the Spider-Man fans' ultimate dream. And I
Mhm.
love that movie. If I had to rate it, I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. To me, Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse are 10 out of 10s though. And that's where I just kind of edges it out for me a bit. Um, but I think No Way Home is damn near perfect. I don't have anything I would criticize about it um, at all. And I think that death scene with Aunt May is the best death scene in all of Spider-Man movies. That's my hot take. I think No Way Home that has the best death scene. You truly felt that.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and when J. Jonah Jameson is talking crazy about Spider-Man and he's watching it in the rain, bro, you can't
Mm,
tell me that's not classic Spider-Man, bro. That's literally classic. That's literally this. It's literally like, like it's literally Spider-Man comics, bro. Like, so you can't tell me that it wasn't brilliant. But I think where my next ranking, which is Spider-Man 2, where I think Spider-Man 2 kind of beats it, is the fact that Spider-Man 2, I just kind of like how it was more cinematically shot. I kind of like the action sequences a bit more. I think No Way Home, some of the action sequences were a bit too fast, too short, and a little underwhelming.
yeah,
That's where I would kind of put that there. But No Way Home kind of makes up with it for the characters and the story. But the action could have been a lot better. That to me is where I would put Spider-Man 2, because the story is up there. I would argue the story is a bit more human and personable than No Way Home.
yeah.
And I think the action sequences are a hell of a lot better. And Peter, he was throwing UFC elbows in that movie. Like he was
He
he
was.
was throwing like Doc Ock through buildings and shit, bro. So yeah, no, I definitely think that I think Spider-Man 2 takes the cake there. And also that ending where Mary Jane shows like like when people think that Spider-Man's life is constantly for suffering and
Mm,
sacrifice, Spider-Man 2 shows no, like good stuff can happen too, and she's waiting for him in the doorway. But then they
yeah.
turn her trash in Spider-Man 3, but that's neither here nor there. But then the best one I think is Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay. Yeah.
To me, I think that's the best Spider-Man movie because it changes the dynamic of Spider-Man. We focus on Miles instead of Peter, who's been told about so much times. And furthermore, it kind of answers the question of like, how do you aspire to reach your dreams? How do you aspire to meet the legends? And Miles is an allegory of that. I can relate to that. Like I'm a budgeting comic book artist or writer, and I want to be up there with the greats. How do I even meet that? So to me, the analogy is, the great comic writers are Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and I feel like I'm Miles Morales kind of right now. And how do I reach that? And Into the Spider-Verse is really inspiring. You just need the right support system, and that's easier said than done. But find people in your life that uplift you, bro. And that was the message of the Spider-Verse. And everybody can wear the mask. You don't need to get in your head about that. You all deserve to wear the mask. You all can do great stuff, and that was the message of it. And that to me resonated more than any other Spider-Man movie. So to me, that is my top three. It was be Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2, and No Way Home.
So we've got the same top three, just in a different order. So
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
yeah, bro.
I'll
Yeah,
take
yeah,
that.
bro. Yeah, man.
Anybody can wear the mask, as you said.
Anybody can wear the mask, man. Like I really hope, I really hope this movie delivers, because I think a big part of why we love Spider-Man is that you can also critically deep think about the themes of the story while also enjoying the fact that you're web swinging at 180 miles per hour and having fun. And
Mm,
animation allows you to do crazy action sequences that live action you just can't.
yeah,
And I
definitely.
appreciate that. Like Miguel and Miles web swinging through the multiverse and fighting off of flying cars. I mean, sign me up, bro. Like I want to see that so bad.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, man.
that's the bit I'm most looking forward to. And yeah, that, as I said before, that scene going throughout the multiverse, that could be iconic.
I really hope so, man. And I really hope this ending is something shocking, something that makes us go,
Hmm.
like I really hope, I really, really, really hope so. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go opening night, man. I'm gonna have my Spidey suit. It's a toss up between Spider-Man India or the Into the Across the Spider-Verse suit, because the deciding factor
Mm.
is my hair. Got too much bald spots here. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll make it happen. But yeah,
Yeah.
very, very excited. Very, very excited for this new era of animation, man.
Mhm.
Give me some more of that. Like if only Disney did that instead of live action remakes that have no soul in them. But
Ah,
that's a whole
Moana.
yeah.
The
Still
Rock
great.
chose that over WrestleMania.
Yeah, they're right. Like you freaking chose Moana and Black Adam over facing Roman Reigns, you coward. But that's a whole other topic. That's a whole
Yeah.
other topic.
Oh,
But
he's not the goat anymore.
he's not. Hell no, he's not the GOAT. John Cena, maybe Roman Reigns, if you love him, but John Cena is definitely over Rock. But and to me, back to Spider People, I would definitely by the end of my life, bro, when I'm 80, 90, I want to say Miles is better than Peter. Right now, it's not fair to say that because Peter's just done more. So hopefully I get in a position in my career where maybe I can write Miles Morales and I can do some crazy new stuff with him, man. I have so much ideas where I want to take the character, and Miles excites me in a way that Peter just doesn't, because Peter's done it all. He's the GOAT. He's the legend. He's done it all. So let's do something new. And that's what
Yeah,
Across the Spider-Verse is doing, and that's what I'm really excited for.
I'm sure you'll get there.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But with that, this is the end of this episode, bro. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I apologize for ranting so much and talking so much about Spider-Man. This is, this character, bro, like, personal story. When I was getting bullied in Virginia, for being Muslim, for being Pakistani, for not really knowing how to speak English, I was in a really dark place in my life, and I was really pissed at the world. And I was in this angry, hurt mode. And to see the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films kind of show me that it's possible to be a good person despite life throwing crap at you. Spider-Man, in a lot of ways, to me is a real person, because in a lot of ways that character raised me, taught me a lot of the values that I hold most dear to myself. Like, great power comes great responsibility is not just a catchphrase. Like to me, it's real. So. Like Superman, another character that raised me. Luke Skywalker, another character that raised me. Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles, another character that raised me. Blues Clues, great show. Did you guys watch Blues Clues in the UK?
I think it might have been on over here, but I never watched it.
Search it up. But Blues Clues, like the little puppy from Blues, like, we just got a letter. We just got like Blues Clues. That character raised me. But yeah, no, Spider-Man, Captain America, Superman, Blues Clues, Luke Skywalker, Kratos. These characters raised me, and I can talk about it for hours, but that's what we love Spider-Man, and that's why I'm wearing this low budget Spider-Man costume. Yeah, bro, you gotta wear it. You gotta wear it, bro.
I'll put it on to end the episode.
But yeah, do it, bro. You got to. The spider sense is strong with this. I love that. Yeah, but with that being said, this is another episode of the Invincibles podcast. Thank you so much. This has been a very Spider-Man heavy episode, and we're gonna do a lot more of this because there's so much in this character. But
yeah. It's a great time to be a Spider-Man fan this year.
Fantastic! It's a hell of a lot better than 10 years ago when Amazing Spider-Man was running the scene. I'm Amazing Spider-Man hater. But yeah, you guys know me. I'm Zan.
I'm Oli.
And this
is
the Invincibles.
Got a lot of Star Wars stuff as well, by the way, coming later this week. Because there's a lot to talk about, so there'll be a bumper Star Wars episode coming.
Yes.
I don't know how long that one's going to be, but it might be a hefty one.
Bro, I'm telling you, we need Finn. Finn as a Jedi, please. Pay him whatever he wants. Give him the whole bag.
Yeah.
Finn as a Jedi, please.
Yeah, that's what. There's so much for us to talk about. We'll talk about that all later this week.
All right, guys. Take care, guys. Take care of yourself. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Cheers.